Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Tamitou here. So today's build is going to be this amazing, beautiful, yeah, it's really nice. It's this massive Tuscan inspired villa. So it's got this really heavy Italian theme, of course, and I built it in this really grand lot space on the Windenburg Island, where the Villarreals live. So I've actually just bulldozed their house and built them a better one. I just thought this lot was perfect for it. It's quite a European styled map, the Windenburg map. So yeah, it kind of works well with the landscape in the background and that kind of thing. And I also wanted it to have some height to it. I wanted it to look like it's built up maybe in a more mountainous region or area, and it has this amazing surrounding and view around it. So yeah, I wanted it to be a mixture of modern and traditional. So I've given it a heavy rustic kind of farm vibe, just because, you know, there is going to be a little vineyard at the back. So it's clearly, you know, in the past been used as farming mainly, or for farming, and obviously the family live in the house, but now it's more of like maybe a holiday home. It's not furnished very heavily, so it has that more feel to it of it being like a summer house that the family use for a few months out of the year, but of course it doesn't have to be that way, but that's just the vibe I got, and it's been added on to here and there. So this room I'm building on right now, like at the back, that's gonna end up being like a modern extension, like really modern, and then there are some slightly older bits, and then even older than that. So the tower on the right hand side, that's the tallest bit, the kind of square looking tower, that's gonna be, or that's what I decided was the oldest part, and it's gonna have some older looking bricks, and then the more main structure is slightly newer bricks, and then the back bit has got the much more newer windows and things like that. So it's really authentic in that it's, you know, been built over time and added to, and money's been invested in it, and the family have kind of expanded it as they've gone along. So yeah, I really enjoyed building it. It was really nice building the outside for once more than the inside. Like the inside was fun, don't get me wrong, but the outside was really fun to try and get it really authentic looking. And I used a lot of images from Google and Airbnb, because I'm really feeling like the next place I want to visit is Italy, and I haven't been yet, so I'm really in like this obsession at the moment with it, and what better way to live out your obsessions than Sims. So yeah, there were so many features I wanted to add that I saw in several pictures. One of them would be this like shading thing. I don't even know if that's got a proper name, but I've seen loads of Simmers do it, you know, for a long time. I've done it loads of times too, and I'm going to add some plants hanging down and growing up through and on the fencing and the post that I've just placed. So it's going to be really overgrown and beautiful and natural. And there's also going to be a lot of plants growing up the building all over different sides and stuff, and just I tried to keep it all really balanced, so nothing's too over the top, but it just looked really natural sitting in its own little space in the landscape. So yeah, and I've also used a variety of windows. So I've used, obviously you can see the really modern ones at the back, and I've just placed some like shutter ones from Jungle Adventure, and I'm also going to be placing some other more Tudor looking ones, and yeah, just there's loads, and there's also some arched windows, so like some rounder ones. And here I'm just building a giant chimney, and I wanted to build it out of walls instead of like sizing one up, because what I thought was maybe this was traditionally the oldest part of the house down here in the basement area, and that was maybe traditionally the fireplace where they would cook, and now it's more like the barbecue area. So there's going to be a table seating area down there, and we're going to use an old stove looking like an Argo looking stove down there instead of a barbecue. And I really like that authentic touch, like they've reused the old cooker when they replaced it in the kitchen, and they've just stuck it down there as a barbecue. So yeah, so it's kind of got a lot of thought gone into little things like that. It's just a lot of fun to do and think around a story a little bit. Although I didn't think about the family specifically, but I kind of did build it for a big family. So there are 5 bedrooms. One's downstairs is more of like a guest bedroom, and then upstairs there's 3 double bedrooms and then a kids room which has 2 single beds. So yeah, there's lots of space, and lots of communal space as well, so a lot of family space. I kind of, because I've never been to Italy and seen any of the typical houses, I kind of went with some ideas that I've seen in Spain, because I have been there, and I'm kind of used to seeing Spanish houses typically will have a lot of room downstairs and space for like eating together, sitting together, watching TV together, and then upstairs the bedrooms are typically smaller, because not a lot of time spent up there, like it's just where you sleep, and then the rest of the time is spent downstairs helping out, or you know, if you're kids, you're helping out making food and doing chores and stuff. So it's got a sense of culture to it as well, and that's what I kind of went with for this theme as well. I figured they wouldn't be too dissimilar, and I thought there'd be a major kind of importance on food, because Italian food is insane, and I feel like there'd be like an Italian grandma living here who would just cook. Yeah. And obviously they have their own produce and stuff in the back, so they would probably make food, sell the extra to, you know, make some more income. And yeah, and I also really wanted to put the pool at the front. I thought it would be a change. I always put the pool at the back of the house, but this time it's more of like the entrance to the house. So it kind of doubles as like a feature, and like it as like a fountain as well, even though I also had a fountain. It's so extra, but it's not like brand new kind of grand. It's very settled, and it's been there for a long time, and it's just like a family place. It's not just being built all at once. So yeah, I added these really cool fish statues. I've been doing this a lot recently in my like Hampton style builds, one that I've uploaded and the other's just in my own time, but I love putting these fish here as like this grand accent to the pool. And yeah, I've used any stone or fountain things I've used them in like a worn kind of weathered colorway, just because it, you know, they've been there for years, and you know, just that's how they are naturally. So yeah, and I'm adding loads of, you know, vines up the walls now, and I'm going to add this red as well just to pop on the green. It just looks really nice, and I love all these brick textures I've used on the floor, on the walls. There's just so many of them, and I picked specifically ones that I thought looked most authentic. And oh my gosh, the roof tiles as well, they're so perfect. Again, that's the swatch from Jungle Adventure, and in the more in the less red color, basically I went for colors that were not as red as I would have picked for like a Spanish villa, so it would typically be more red and white or terracotta and white. For the Italian kind of theme, I went for more muted brown and like cooler tones. So yeah, that's kind of how I decided to go for it. And here I've just used these like rose bushes. I couldn't find anything that was close to grapevines, and it didn't really matter. It was just for the idea, really. And of course you can replace those with actual seeds that you can plant in the ground, and I have added the trait of great soil as well for this lot, so your plants will typically grow better here. So yeah, it's actually useful, not just for show. And I've just fenced it off here as well. So I've skipped, obviously, as you can imagine, this was a long build. I've skipped a lot out. I've kind of cut a lot out in the editing process. And obviously, as always, you'll see in the screenshots and the cinematic shots that I've prepared, you'll see all of that at the end. So the floor plan was already worked out. It took me a little while as well. And I started with the kitchen because that's the only room that I had an idea in my head going in about what it should look like. And I really wanted it to have this old bench in the middle. I thought that was so typical of something you might see in Italy or in Italian kitchens. As I said, it's like a massive part of the culture. And family life and things like that. So there's like a casual dining table here, and there's going to be 2 stoves, and I feel like the kitchen might have been updated more recently because it gets that much use, but it's still got some older features, some more antique looking features, like some little brass wall decor items that I put on later, as well as like a new, more like modern canvas painting. So there's a mix all the way through the house where you can see that things have been updated here and there, and then other things have been left and like what's the word? what is the word I'm thinking of? Maintained, you know, like they've been kept, preserved. That's the word I'm thinking of. So some old features of the house have been preserved because they're really special or something. So yeah, I really like the kitchen. It's quite muted, and it's got these pops of yellow and orange coming through in the wall art in just a second, as well as it being fully kitted out. So it's got like the pans hanging, it's got the olive oil we're going to add on the wall, of course, jars of olives and dried food and all of that good stuff. So yeah, it's a really, really fully kitted out kitchen. And as you can see, the Jungle Adventure counters work really well in this brown swatch. So they're really versatile, and I've said this before, but the Jungle Adventure build and buy items are really versatile, and you know, that's the case of other packs, more recent packs as well, so Cats and Dogs and what else, maybe Parenthood. They're quite, the items we're getting more recently are just so versatile because of the swatches that they give us. So we get some darker brown swatches that work really well in this kind of rustic environment, and then any whiter light swatches look really good in like a more nautical, coastal looking home. So I'm really enjoying using all of these kind of swatches in different different themed houses, really. So the dining space is in the modern extension, the most modern extension, and it's got just these gorgeous, huge, really sharp looking windows and doors that go out straight out onto the back. And there's also going to be another dining table running parallel outside, so there's a loads of dining space, obviously loads of eating, coming together and eating kind of spaces for the family. And I just love the dining area. It contrasts to the kitchen and other rooms so well in the fact that it's really minimal. There's only a couple pieces in there, and it's because it's the modern extension, you know, it's just been really thought about and planned, and money's been spent on it, and it's just as it is, and it's all being bought new. Whereas other areas are kind of more got older furniture that have maybe decades old, and they've kept one of them being this fireplace, which I thought, because the back of it on the outside is the old fireplace that I built, so I figured this would be like a fixed piece in this room that can't be changed, so almost like in an apartment in The Sims 4 where you can't change certain things. That to me in my head was one of those items, so I figured like this room is also quite modernized, and it's had to be done around that feature. So you can see how modern these lamps are that I'm placing, and the Jungle Adventure sofas and things are quite modern, and the walls are going to look quite modern in a sec, or later on when you see them. So yeah, it's kind of showing that progression through time, I guess, and as they've put money into it. So yeah, the bedrooms were quite tricky at first because I wasn't sure. I didn't want them to be too cluttered or anything. I wanted them to be quite individually themed, but still look really Italian, if that makes sense. I mean, I don't really know what Italian means in terms of a bedroom, but you know what I mean, as in I wanted the theme, the color schemes to look quite kind of relate to the color of grapes and wine and things like that. So I've used a lot of winey kind of colors, and like purples and reds and browns and some greens here and there as well. But this bedroom totally changes color scheme towards the end, and I also do open up the ceiling above it in the tower, so it's got this amazing kind of double height space. Again, you'll see in the screenshots, which makes it the master bedroom. It's very much like the grandest bedroom. But the others are all really cool too. One of them is a bit more made in with a teenage girl in mind, and the other with a teenage boy. It's really modern and sleek. So this would be the teen girls room in my opinion, and it's quite farmy and cute and just country vibe. And yeah, and then this middle one is more experimental, I guess, and it's just a lot of black and brown, and that's it. So yeah, there's a lot of different themes in each bedroom, and maybe each one has been worked on at a time, and whenever they get money to put into it, they all redo another bedroom. So yeah, it's got this cute wall feature that I added. I've never used these little arch things. I don't even know what they are. They're kind of like window frames without the window in, and yeah, I just raised up some candles and made this cool feature. I thought it was quite nice. And then here downstairs again I'm flitting all over the place because I'm just like, with big builds like this, I do that. I can't focus on one room and then move on. I kind of just, I go back and forward as I see items in the catalogue that might fit and stuff. So, and of course I had to use that wine painting here in the dining space as well. So there's also a study downstairs, as you can see briefly here. Again, it's got like new and old features, really old bookcase, and then some newer like a newer desk and wall art and stuff like that. And there's loads of doors as well going out into open spaces into the outdoors. So there's loads of entrances and exits and stuff. And yeah, the guest bedroom's down here as well. So it's just behind where we're looking now. The entrance had to have this amazing cabinet with all the like nectar in it, or the, you know, the wine. And these paintings as well, I've placed them all over. If you can count how many times I've placed those, because they're the most Italian, like Tuscan looking, like pictures. If you look close at them, they're amazing. They're from Dine Out, and they're one of my favorite objects in the whole game. So yeah, I love those. And of course these classic trees, I don't even know the name of them, I've forgotten, but they had to be, you know, in the silhouette of the house. I had to have them, and yeah, they're gorgeous. So I added them onto the lot instead of in the background. Yeah, and the kids' bedroom, again, it's quite country farmy, and I've added this like nice green kids wallpaper to kind of nod to the vine leaves, I guess, because they've got little leaves going across the border. And there's a couple of activities, again, nothing too cluttered. It is more of like a holiday theme than, you know, than a full-time living house, if that makes sense. And then down here I've just put this sized up this little thing and put it behind to look like where they store the logs and stuff for the fire. So, and there's also a little downstairs toilet and cellar in that basement bit as well. So yeah, it's lots to talk about and lots to say, but it's easier if I just show you now. So I'll go into the screenshots now and you can have a look in more detail. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon. Bye.